Happy New Year. Welcome to my 12 Days of Christmas. I am April Davis of April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up! And live in Spring Hill, Kansas. Can you believe it's January 1st of 2025? I haven't had to write it yet, but I'm hoping that I'll remember to write 25 instead of 24. I always struggle that first week or two. But welcome, 12 Days of Christmas is still going on, and we are now in day 8 of our 12 Days of Christmas. So we'll go ahead and get started. I've got a lot to show you today. So let's go ahead and get our package opened. Hopefully you waited for me, and you will open your package when I open the package. So let's go ahead and get this opened up. And we have palette knives. So what are we going to do with palette knives? I've got my palette knives right here, the ones that I use all the time. I just dropped something that I was going to utilize, so I'll step down and pick that up real quick. My elbows are getting in the way. But basically, palette knives are used with embossing paste. And so I know you're thinking, okay, April, we've got palette knives, but we don't have embossing paste. Well, Stampin' Up! Does have embossing paste. They have just a plain embossing paste, and then they also have a shimmery white embossing paste. I've had this one for a long time, so it's got a different label on it. But I know that you might not have embossing paste. So what I thought I would do to start this demonstration is show you how to make your own embossing paste. This is a DIY embossing paste, and we'll go ahead and do that and make something with the DIY embossing paste, and then I'm going to switch back over to Stampin' Up! Embossing paste because I really, really do like their embossing paste. But in the embossing paste recipe, and you can go out onto YouTube and you can Google all different kinds of recipes for embossing paste, but you're going to need a glue. You're going to need some white paint, acrylic paint, and I use cornstarch. Some of them talk about using like baby talc. Of course, you can't get baby talc anymore, so you get the baby powder with the what am I trying to say? Cornstarch in it. They now have baby powder with cornstarch in it. But the one, when I went to go get it, it actually had cornstarch and aloe and vitamin E, and I didn't need all of that, so I just decided to go straight with the cornstarch. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to fill 1/4 of a cup. I'm trying not to be too messy here, but 1/4 of a cup with cornstarch, and I am being pretty messy, but we'll go ahead and we're going to put it in my little cup here. Let me get this cleaned up, guys. I'm making a big mess before I ever even get started. Put this over here, tap that back in. I do have a baby wipe here, so I can kind of keep this on the up and up and stay fairly clean. But we've got 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Okay, that's going to be our start. All right, now what we can do is we're going to move into our glue and our acrylic paint. It takes a tablespoon of each. So I just happen to have a glass, I don't know, like a shot glass that has the measuring on it. And so I'm going to put in a tablespoon of my white acrylic paint. So we'll fill that up to 1 tablespoon. Even that out. Yep, we're at a tablespoon. And then I'll do the same thing with my glue. Fill it up to 2. Let's see if I can get this opened up. Hopefully, I'm using glue that I don't use very often, so I'm hoping that I'm going to put my brush down in here and mix it up. Just make sure it's, yep, it's good. Yeah. All right, so let me take this paper towel and wipe off the end of my stir stick. I'm using a paintbrush for a stir stick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour in a tablespoon of glue. So it's going to take me to the 2 tablespoon mark. Okay, so we've got our glue in there now. So a tablespoon of white acrylic paint, a tablespoon of glue, and then we've got 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch. So let me mix this up. And then we're gonna dump this in and we'll get this mixed together. And this will be a DIY embossing paste. So let me go ahead and see if I can get all this out, as much of it as I can. All right, I'm gonna put this off to the side, and then we're gonna mix this up. I made some earlier, and I was using, what was I using? I was using arrowroot, because I don't typically have cornstarch in my home. I just use the arrowroot, and I don't know if it was the arrowroot or what, but it just wasn't working quite the way I wanted. So I knew I needed to make sure that I had the cornstarch. So now I've got that. And mixing this up, it's gonna need a little bit of water. You can tell it's a little crumbly and dry. So we'll start to add a little bit of water. And I've got a spritzer here. I've got 2 spritzers here actually, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spritz some water in here. Let's try to get this blended together. It's kind of interesting when you watch the videos on YouTube. It works out pretty perfect. You know, 1/4 of a cup, but this is still a little crumbly, so I'm going to actually take my spritzer off and be a little bit more generous with the water. I don't want to get it too runny. And I did get it to a consistency on the last one that worked, but it was surprising to me how dry it actually was. And maybe it's because I'm using the cornstarch instead of the baby talc. But let's get some more water in here. More water than they actually called for, but it's not a paste yet. And I've been working with paste, and so I know what consistency it needs to be. So, but I wanted to show you the DIY paste. So in case you don't have any embossing paste, whether it's Stampin' Up! Or not, you definitely want an embossing paste to do these techniques. And you may already have some in your stash, so just pull that out. But the palette knives are going to be what you utilize to kind of help you do what you're going to be doing. So I'm getting this all mixed up. It's turning into a paste, as you can see. So now that we've got this all mixed up, let's go ahead and try it on our first project to see if I think it should be thin enough. So I'm gonna wipe this off. I've also got a dish of water here with some dish soap in it because I am gonna be making quite a bit of a mess with all this paste that I'm gonna be using in my stencils. So let me move this out of the way. And I do have a lid for it, so when I'm done using it, I can go ahead and cover it up and keep it dry. I don't know how long the DIY embossing paste will last, but I can tell you my Stampin' Up! Embossing paste has lasted for a long time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring out a stencil, and let me show you. I keep all my stencils in a little booklet like this. And this is just a little booklet that I got off of Amazon. I think it's really intended, I think it's really intended to hold like cookie stencils. But it works great for me because it has little pocketed pages in it, and it also comes with colored paper, so I can put one stencil pack on one side, another stencil pack on the other side, and that's how I keep all my stencils. And then I can just thumb through here and I can pull out whatever stencils I need. So that's what I'm doing today. Now, today I'm going to use some stencils that Stampin' Up! Has that are currently available to you, but I also have a lot of stencils that I love that Stampin' Up! Isn't currently carrying. And I guess my feeling about that is, as much as I want to show you the things that we do have, everybody's got stuff that they've purchased previously that you don't want to just put on the back shelf and never use again. And as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'm the same way. I don't want to put it on the back shelf and not use it again either. So I'm bringing out a few stencils that are not currently available, but I think are going to be perfect for this project. So what I did is I brought out a piece of Starry Sky cardstock, and I'm actually going to lay down this snowflake stencil. I thought this snowflake stencil would be great for this. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple pieces of my mint tape. I want to get this centered so you guys can see what I'm doing. And if you are watching, please do say hello. I'd love to see where you're watching from. So let me get this down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our DIY paste that we have, and I'm just going to start to spread it as soon as I can get some of it. Is a little gooey. Start spreading it on here. And what I learned from my first DIY paste that I made, this paste actually needs to be a little thick on my stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this out. It's the same texture as the arrowroot, so I do know that obviously my arrowroot was working well. I was able to utilize it, but it just doesn't have the same texture as my Stampin' Up! Paste, and so it was just a little bit more interesting for me to use. I'm going to go ahead and get my snowflakes covered here. I want to get them all covered. And then we'll pull this up and we'll see what we've got. Okay. Make sure I've got it everywhere I want it to go. All right, let's see what happens. We're gonna take this and pull it up. I'm gonna pull it straight up. It's a little gooey, but there we go. We've got our stencil. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, because it does have glue and paint in it, and I've got a dish. I'll bring it over real quick. I have a dish of soapy water, so I'm just putting my stencils in the soapy water. But now that we've got this, and this was made with the DIY embossing paste, let me see if I can pick this up so you can see the texture in it. Look at that fun texture. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this dry, and we can do something with this later. I'm gonna move it out of the way so I don't get my fingers in it. So I'm gonna move on, now that we've done the DIY embossing paste, I'm gonna move on to utilizing the Stampin' Up! Embossing paste. And one of the things that you can do, and you'll see me do with the Stampin' Up! Embossing paste as well, is you can color this. You can put sparkles in it, you can color it. So there's a lot of things that you can do with it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on it so that it will stay nice and fresh. And we'll move on to our next project. So let me get this cleaned up. Like I said, I'm going to be making a lot of messes today. And I have to tell you, my glass mat, oh my goodness, my glass mat is like my saving grace. I'm so, so grateful to have this glass mat, because I can make a mess on it and clean it up with no problems. All right, I'm going to bring in a couple of stencils that I'm really excited to utilize. And what we're gonna do is, obviously we have white embossing paste. I'm gonna do this other one first. It's leaves. And again, these are older Stampin' Up! Stencils. But I have the white embossing paste. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out some of my white embossing paste, and I'm actually just going to put it right here on my glass mat, and then I'm going to close this up. I've had this embossing paste for a long time, and it's still nice and pliable. All right, I want my leaves to be green, so what I'm doing is I'm bringing out my lemon lime twist. I thought these leaves would be fun in lemon lime twist, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to squirt one. And I can add more color if I need to, but I'm just gonna put one color in there for right now and see if I get this dark enough. But I'm just gonna do my blending right on my glass mat. How easy is that? And I'm trying to decide if I want this to be a little bit darker. I think I do. So I'm gonna take one more drop. It's kind of like coloring frosting when you're making cookies. All right, so this will give me a little bit more color. This is great. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna line this up where I want it. And let's see, I'm gonna go from the top, and I think right about here is how I want it. So again, I'm gonna take some of my mint tape. Let's get this straight. Take some of my mint tape, and I'm going to tape the top, but I don't want to block where I'm going to be putting my embossing paste, and I'll do it from the bottom, but I want to make sure that I get a good adherence to it. And then I'm just going to pick up my embossing paste, and I'm just going to start to spread it over. And you can see this embossing paste spreads, I don't know, it just seems to spread a little bit easier than that other embossing paste did. Maybe what I needed to do is water that embossing paste down, maybe utilize it a little bit more, but I like how thick it was for the snowflake, so I'll be excited to see what it looks like when it dries. We'll check it before we close this out to see if it's how dry it is. Okay, so I've got my embossing paste over the top of this. You can see I used up everything that I had. Everything is covered now. Just making sure everything's even. So I'll put this off to the side, and I'm gonna pull this up, pull this off. Isn't that cool? So, so cool. All right, I'm gonna try to save these, and I'm gonna put this in my little dish. But so, so cool. And the nice part about this is once it dries, you can cut it down to whatever you need it cut down to so that you can utilize it. But can you see the texture? I don't know if you can see that texture on it or not, but how fun is that for a background for a card? And we are going to be making 2 cards. I just want to show you how much fun playing with this is. So, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. I'm going to use some water, just some water to kind of help soften this. And then I'm going to use my paper towel, and we'll just get this all cleaned up. Glass mat, gotta have one. They are in the online exclusives if you don't have one yet. All right, so we'll get that cleaned off, and then I'm gonna get this cleaned off. And let me see, put that in the bin. I'm gonna kind of swish this in the soapy water for a second. I've got another paper towel here that we'll get started. Okay, now what I wanna do is doesn't this look like fish scales? I think this is so pretty. So what I thought I would do is I would bring in my shimmery white embossing paste. And again, I've had this for quite a while too. It is still doing well. Let me pull some of this out, put it on my glass mat. There we go. And then I decided that it would be fun if we did these scales in Highland Heather. I just like the idea of doing it in the color of purple. So let me go ahead and get my inker out. And I'm going to put, do I want 1 drop or 2? You can always start with 1. That looks so dark. I think I'm probably going to end up just using 1 because I don't want it to be dark, dark, dark. Yeah, okay, let me put the lid back on this, and we're going to work with that. Okay, so let me get this lined up. And I think I'm going to maybe do it from the top here this time. And I'm going to reuse these again, only I'm going to put them over on the sides maybe. And then I'll try to hold the stencil still while I'm doing my pasting, if you will. So let's go ahead and get this all mixed in. Isn't that a pretty color? I've been having so much fun playing. These 12 days of Christmas have been so much fun for me because I get to play with all the tools and things that we have and show you guys how I utilize them, but how they can be utilized as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start spreading this all over my stencil. See how easy that is. Get this spread. I've been doing really good about picking the right amount of paste to get this done, right? But you see how much goes onto the paper, because if it didn't go onto the paper, we'd still have some left, right? And we don't have any left. And anyway, what I've got left on my palette, I'm just kind of spreading around, so it'll just give it a little bit more depth when I take this off. So now let's go ahead and let's get this pulled up. Oh, so pretty. Let me put this in the, can you see the sparkles on it? I don't know if you can or not. There's sparkles on it. We'll see if we can get them in the, let me pick this up. Can you see the sparkle? How fun is that? This is going to be a fun card to play with. Now, what I have to do is I have to let it dry. You can see it's kind of a little warped. The embossing paste is a little wet, so we have to let it dry. And then once it's dried, then we can continue to create. So, but I did do a few things ahead of time, so that will make things easy for us as well. So, okay, I'm going to dip this in my soapy water, and we're going to get this cleaned up. And I'm going to bring in a piece that I actually did previously, that I want to do a second layer to it, if you will. I don't know if you can layer on top of embossing paste or not, but I'm going to check it out. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned off. How easy was that? All right, I'll put these in the bin, and then we're going to have to revert to emboss baby wipes here in a minute. Okay, so this was a piece that I did with the white embossing paste, and then I utilized one of our new, this is a current stencil that is coming in the new catalog, and it's called Linked Together Decorative Masks. And we actually used these decorative masks earlier in the 12 Days of Christmas when we were spritzing. So I have 5 of these masks. I used this mask to create this design. Now what I want to do is I want to use this mask to put some texture over it. And so what I'm going to try to do is get this lined up. What I'd really like to do is put pink dots on this. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to first let me get this lined up. So more of my tape. And yeah, these little flowers, can you see these little flowers? So I'm going to try to get them lined up in my let's see, we're getting close. I've got big flowers and little flowers, and I can see right through, so I'm not too worried about it. I just want to get it lined up on both sides. All right, I think that's good. So let's go ahead and put this down, and I'm going to put one down over here. And just to be safe, I would rather be safe than sorry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tape it down up here as well, and then I'm going to tape it down here. Okay. We're going to put pink dots. I'm going to use Melamambo. So we're going to take our embossing paste again. We're going to color it up. So pull out my embossing paste. And I think probably maybe 1 dollop will do me. Oh, it wants to give me 2, doesn't it? Oh, there we go. All right, so let's get this mixed up. And I haven't done this, so this is my first time doing this with you. I'm experimenting, but I thought, oh, it would be so fun to be able to put some dots on top of what I've already put embossing paste on. So we're gonna layer these 2. All right, so I think I've got this mixed up fairly well. We're gonna pick it up and I'm gonna start to spread it. Feels a little puffy, and the reason it feels a little puffy is because I'm putting it on top of embossing paste that I've already gotten down. So I probably have more embossing paste this time around than I need. I want to be careful with it. I'm going to bring my paper toweling because I'm not going to be utilizing this again. So there is a little bit of waste with this one. But I'm going to go ahead and get this wiped off. Hopefully it worked. All right. Trying to keep my mess contained. Let me take a peek at it. Pull it up. Oh, you guys. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at this. So excited. And there's so much dimension. Can you guys see this? Look at that dimension. How fun is that going to be? So I could use this as a card base, or I could die cut it out in a geometric shape, or I could cut it in strips. There's a number of things that I can do with this, but I've got 2 dimensions on here. How fun is that? It worked. Yay. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. How fun is that? Okay, off to the side. I want it to dry before I have any problems. All right, so let me show you another one that I did. I'm going to clean this up in just a sec. But look at this. I used the polka dot stencil. I just love polka dots. I used the same color of embossing paste. This is pretty much dry. Whoops. It is dry. But there is definitely a texture to it. I don't know if you can see that or not. But how fun. How fun is that? I have been having a blast with this. I got to get things cleaned up. And then we're going to make a couple of cards. Actually, I'm going to show you another thing that I did. And then we're going to make a couple of cards. All right, so let me get this cleaned up. I'm going to put this in my dish pan and let it soak. I will clean all this up later. I'm going to bring in some water, and I don't think I have any more paper towels right here with me. So we are moving on to the baby wipes. So I have baby wipes. And again, how easy is this with my glass mat? But you can see if you don't clean it up right away, it does start to dry. It's not a problem cleaning up, especially on my glass mat, but because I gave it just those few extra seconds, you can see it really starts to dry. So you can imagine how it dries on your cards. And we'll come back and look at those cards again once we're done. All right, I can reuse these. So I'm going to pull these off to the side. Let me show you what I did. I had a stencil, and this stencil is current in the in the catalog. It's current in the regular annual catalog. And so I'm going to pull in this piece of cardstock. Mossy Meadow, I believe, is what it is. Let me pull my stencils in here. I'm going to flip this over. And I have a tree stencil. This is from the Decorative Tree, the Frosted Forest Decorative Masks. So I have that, and I'm going to actually take this stencil. I'm trying to decide which is the front. I don't know that there is a front or a back, but I was looking for the number on the stencil. The number's right here, so I'm going to call this the front. We're going to go ahead and we're going to line up this tree on this stencil, or on this piece of cardstock. Okay. All right, I'm going to take the frosted or the shimmery white embossing paste, and I'm going to pull just a little bit out. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to go over this tree. Now I had more embossing paste that I needed, but because I didn't color it, I can put it back in. I can put it back in, which is great. So I'll put it back in so we don't waste any. But I do want to make sure that I've got enough on there that I'm getting a good texture to it. You don't want to scrape off too much because then you're scraping off the texture. And I'll show you what I mean by that. All right, that looks good. So let me go ahead and get this off and get my fingers cleaned up because I got it on my fingers. And close this up so it doesn't dry out. And I'm going to pull this off. And look at what we've got. Okay, this is the start. to our tree, okay? And let me see, can you see the sparkle on it? Trying to get to the light. Let's see. There is a little bit of sparkle. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is sparkle. All right, so we're gonna let this dry. But I already did this on another piece. I'm gonna put this stencil into the water bath so it doesn't, there we go. And I didn't make a mess on my glass, so that's good. But I already embossed this with the same stencil. And what I did is I used the Frosted Forest dies, and I took this tree and I cut it out with this die. So now I have this so pretty Christmas tree or tree. I can do a winter scene with it. And I can do several of these and pop them up and put them on a card and have a really pretty tree scene. So I just put snow on my tree with the frosted embossing paste. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what we're going to do next with respect to a card. Let me pull this in. Let's see, where's my other piece? Oh, here we go. So I had done another piece like the one that I'd showed you before. And only it was a little bit thicker. It was the same set, but instead of it being the thinner, it was the thicker. Hold on a second. I got to get this embossing paste off of me. It's already starting to stick to me. That's kind of pretty on my nails though. now you excuse me, I have a cold, and if I start to laugh and cough at the same time, it doesn't really work. But I'm just gonna get this off before it gets too crazy. But it is pretty on my nails. But anyway, I went ahead and did a couple of these ahead of time, and the reason that I did is I needed it to dry, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and create a card utilizing the embossing that I did earlier. And this was utilizing that. Let me show you the set. The one that we used for it's called the Linked Together Decorative Masks. This is the thinner one. This was the thicker one that I used. Okay, so let me put these back in so I can keep these all together in my little sleeve. All right, and I'll put that one away in a minute. Move it over here, I think. Okay, so we're gonna make a card. I'm just stuck on Melon Mambo today. I don't know why, but I'm stuck on Melon Mambo. So I've got a Melon Mambo card base. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place this down. Now I feel like I need to trim this up because I did not get it even, at least on this end. And so I'm gonna bring my trimmer in, and we're just gonna kind of play around with trimming this up just a little bit so it's a little bit more even. So this was 4 by 5 1/4. What if I take it to 5? Let me put it down here. 5, is that gonna get me closer? Maybe I'm gonna trim off of this edge. See if I get that a little bit. And then do 5 maybe. All right, we're just gonna get close to the edge here. So I'm using my trimmer to help me get to the edge. And I'm lining this inside line up with the white layer, and that will then get me close to the white line. All right, we're gonna turn it one more time, and I'm just gonna get it all the way around the same way. All right, so now I feel better that at least they're all the same, so to speak. So pull this back out again, and I'm going to actually adhere it to my Melon Mambo. And let me see, I think we're gonna do a portrait card. So let's go ahead and get this down first. And I'm gonna use my Mono Adhesive Glue. I think I've still got a little bit left in here that I can go ahead and get this down. But it's it's almost gone. I'm using the last little drops. Okay, very good. I've got another bottle. I just wanted to finish using that up. So we'll go ahead and get this down, and I'm going to get it centered in my Melon Mambo. Okay. Make sure it's got a little bit of, it's got a lot of texture to it actually. So the card is, I wouldn't say it's warped, but it has a lot of texture to it. But it is dry, as you can see. I'm touching it. Now look what we're going to do. We're going to incorporate this Melon Mambo, and I die cut some leaves from, let me show you the set that I die cut from. It was the Memorable Blooms set. This is a new set in the new catalog. Lots of fun sentiments. You're awesome. Love and thanks. You've been on my mind. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. Thanks so much. You mean the world to me. And lovely flowers. But in addition to that, because it's a bundle, it also has, check out these dies. How fun is that? And then of course you can stamp and cut out what you stamped. And then it has this leafy die, which is what I used for this. So I went ahead and I did that. So what I want to do is I want to get these leaves down, and I'm trying to figure out how I just want to place them for right now, and then I'll put some glue on the back of them. But I think I want to do this, and then I stamped Happy Birthday from the new stamp set from the new catalog with you in mind. I stamped Happy Birthday, and I just cut around the Happy Birthday. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue down my leaves, and then I'm gonna pop up my Happy Birthday. So let's go ahead and get that done. Let me look for my Teflon mat. Whoops, yep, I kind of sorted it. I think I got my arm in the soap bath. All right, so I'm just going to take my little precision tip glue, and I'm just gonna do the backs of these leaves, maybe. I gotta get my glue bottle to work. Oh, there we go. So little dots on all my leaves. All right, and I'm gonna use my tweezers just to kind of help me to pick it up if I can find them. I thought I had them in here, but I'm not seeing. That's interesting. Okay, well, we'll just pick it up since I don't know where they're at. And I'm gonna lay this one down first, and I'm gonna lay it down so it kind of goes up to the top. Make sure it adheres, because it's adhering both to cardstock and to embossing paste. So let's give it a block to hold it while I put glue on the back of this one. All right, more glue dots or dollops of glue on the backs of these leaves. All right, let's get this one down. I've been having so much fun, you guys. This has been a blast. All right, I'm gonna put that down. So now I've got my greenery down. And the embossed piece, the wet embossed piece, or they call it embossing paste, it looks like a trellis, right? Excuse me. The other thing is I've been coughing so much that my ribs hurt. You know, when you cough too much, then things start to hurt, and then you don't want to cough at all. I don't know what happened to my, I'm going to have to use my fingers. You know, I hate to use my fingers for my dimensionals, but I'm going to have to use them because I don't know where my tweezers are. That's crazy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, put them here, and put them here. The good news is I didn't lose my take your pick, so I can use my take your pick to at least take the backs off. So we'll do that. Get them all? Yep, I did. Get these out of the way. And then we're going to take this off, and I'm going to put the Happy Birthday probably right, yeah, I think I'm going to center it. I think. Is that centered? Not quite. Maybe a little bit more. Whoops. How about that? That looks good, except for I want to make it straight. So now I'm going to press. All right. Oh, one more thing. I was going to say that's done. No, we got to have some bling, right? So, I'm having so much fun with these purple adhesive back sequins because they have white sequins. What am I going to do? They need to make me a whole thing of just white sequins. But I want some sparkle on this as well because I didn't use sparkle paste. I just used the regular paste. But let me see. Put those there and maybe put another one right here. Not a lot. I'm just going to do a couple. But how pretty is that? How fun. How fun. All right, that's the first card. I've got another card I'm going to show you, and then we'll be done. And we're going to do a totally different technique. So, and we're going to combine some techniques as well. So let me kind of get things moved around here so I can bring my pieces in. Oh, reaching over. I'm going to move this out of the way. I don't want to squish the ones that I've already done because I don't want, they're still wet. And I didn't even use those other tools, but you do have 3 tools in your set. And I just happen to use that same one the whole time, but you don't have to. All right, so let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to take a piece of white cardstock. And let me see, where am I at? I'm looking for something. Hold on. Well, I kind of know what I'm doing here. This is not cardstock. This is embossing paper. All right, so what we're going to do, is I'm going to grab a piece of white cardstock. And we are going to do some ink blending. So I'm going to start out with the Misty Moonlight ink blending. And we'll just do that on the glass mat. I'm sure I do have my brush here. So that's the first thing we're going to do. But I want to put a moon on it. So remember, yesterday, actually, we did the masking. I'm going to do a moon. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to punch my moon out. And this is an old 1-inch punch from Stampin' Up. But I think my moon is a circle, so that's good. It just doesn't like cutting through the masking paper tape. So I'm going to put my moon, I don't know, I think I'm going to put my moon about right here because I'm not going to actually emboss or ink all of the area. And I just have it in my mind what I want to do. So bear with me. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to start to just gently ink around this. I don't like those circle motions that I'm getting. I had those yesterday too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to ink the sky up. And I'm going to leave some of the area above white. This is one of those cards where it's kind of a top and bottom thing, but most of it's going to be in the middle. I know that didn't make any sense. Just give me slack since I've got this cold that is just doing wacky things to my brain. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of color down here. And this is exactly what I would like. I don't want it to be really dark. In fact, I love how that looks. So let me do a little bit more here. Maybe I'll do just a little bit up there and a little bit down here. Here I said I was going to leave that white, and then I changed my mind. But that's what you do when you're creating, right? Okay. So now we've got this. And I know you're thinking, where does the embossing paste come from? Hang on there. Bear with me. We're going to get there. Okay, so now I'm going to clean this up because remember yesterday I forgot to do that. I want to clean this up and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick to take my moon patch off. So we're going to go ahead and do that and get it out of the way. And then I'm going to take this ink again. I'm not going to, because I don't like my moon being stark. So I'm just going to lightly put a little bit more color on it. just so it's not stark. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna utilize this stamp set called Under the Moon. So cool. And I'll be honest with you, I have not used it before, but I liked it. And I thought, I'm gonna use this. And sure enough, I'm gonna use it. I'm using it today with all of you. So I'm going to take Misty Moonlight. No, not Misty Moonlight. I'm going to take, I have Night of Navy. Here we go, Night of Navy. I'm gonna take Night of Navy and we're gonna stamp some clouds. And I'm trying to decide, I think my clouds are gonna go this way. So we'll get, and I need to bring my little pad in. I don't want to forget that. Oh my gosh, I hope this turns out. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp these clouds. And I'm going to put these clouds over the moon. Maybe kind of like this. Oh, cool, right? So cool. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my next stamp and I am going to stamp some water. And so my water is going to go in here. Let me get this inked up. Okay, and my water is going to go right about here. So I'm going to center it. Okay. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. All right, one more thing I'm gonna do and then we're gonna paste. Let me get this cleaned off. Oh my gosh. I think the thing that I enjoy most, besides sharing the cards that I create, is just sitting down and taking what you've got and creating with it. Because you just never know what you're going to get, right? Okay, now I'm going to take, I think I'm going to put a sentiment on here called Thinking of You, and it's from Everyday Greetings. So, thinking of you, where are, is this it? Is this Thinking of You? I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to pull this block in. And this is a new stamp. It's never been used before. So I'm going to make sure that I get a good stamp. So I'm going to take my eraser and I want to just kind of take off that coating. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to wipe this off on my hand. I've got little flakes of eraser on it. All right, now we're going to take the Night of Navy again, and I'm going to stamp it Thinking of You, and we are going to put it right down here. Okay, so now we have Thinking of You. Okay, now I'm hoping that I can create the rest of the card. Actually, normally I wouldn't do this, but I want to get this card put together so that you guys can see the card in its entirety. So I'm going to be doing the paste last. Normally, if I had time to just sit and let it dry, I probably wouldn't do that. But since I don't have time to let it sit and dry, I'm not going to make you guys stick around that long. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this. So I'm going to mount this on, and I may have to cut it down a little bit, it looks like. What size is that? Okay, so that means I need to cut this down because I want to have edges to it. What is this? This is 4. So I want to do 1/4 of an inch off of this side. Should have figured this out before. 1/4 of an inch off of this side. So it'll be 3 3/4. And then I think I can't really take from the bottom, so I guess I'll take from the top. So I'm gonna take it from here. All right, so now this should fit on my Misty Moonlight, or not my Misty Moonlight, my Night of Navy. So now we have it on Night of Navy. What didn't I do right? I guess it was the right size one way, but not the other way. All right, so I'm gonna cut my Night of Navy down now. Oops, crazy. So let's see, this is 4 by 5 1/4. Guess I'm gonna take it down to, let me measure this. Sorry guys, it's real. 5 1/4. Is this 5 1/4? No. Interesting, it was 5 1/2. So this was never cut right to begin with. All right. The struggle is real. Okay, perfect. Now I can get this glued down. See if I can get some more glue out of this bottle. Excuse me. I'm getting it, but I have to tap it every single time. So sorry guys, but I use every last drop. I'm sure you do too. So let me, one more time. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get one more time out of it. No, every last drop, it's gone. All right, well that's enough to get this down. I'll have to open up another bottle for the rest of it. All right, so we're gonna get this down. Oh my gosh, guys, look how pretty that is. We're not done yet. I can't wait to show you. All right, let's open this up. I have a little glue holder that my aunt made me, and she just took a little votive cup, put some hot glue down in it, glued the lid down in it, and now I can pop this one off, pop this one in. I always store my glue upside down. Always, always, always. Even with my precision tip, I glue it or store it upside down as well. Makes it life much easier. All right, so let me go ahead and get this glue on. And we are almost done. This card is almost done. It opens from the bottom. We'll get this centered. And then the final touch is gonna be the embossing paste. And you're like, where is the embossing paste going? Oh, I can't wait to show you. Cannot wait to show you. All right, so I'm gonna take a block. Let's see, this is a big enough block. And do I want sparkle? I didn't, yeah, let's do sparkle. Let's just do sparkle. The moon is glistening off of the water, right? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna pull in, yeah, we'll use this one. So I haven't used this one yet, so we'll use this one. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of embossing paste here. And we're gonna take this and fill it up, and we're just gonna start cutting waves across your card. And now you can see why I wanted to make sure that I got it mounted so that we didn't have to wait for this to dry. But I'm cutting waves across our water. And I can move it with the palette knife. I'm gonna put a little bit more right here. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so fun. Let's get a little bit more right here. And I just continue to kind of slice and dice it, and that gives the waves. Okay, that's enough. I'm gonna put that back in. But look what's happened. Isn't that pretty? Look at the sparkle. How fun was that? So I was able to use a stamp set that I haven't used before. I did some masking, and then I also did some embossing paste on the water. And now when that dries, it'll be so shimmery and have some texture to it. And I've just had so much fun with this one. And I know you guys may not have the Stampin' Up! Embossing paste, but I did give you the recipe for a DIY embossing paste. So you can create your own embossing paste, and you can use your ink fillers to color your embossing paste. I'm gonna put this in. Let me show you some other things that we've made. So we've got this one. How pretty is that? So excited. Then we made a happy birthday card. I showed you the dots that we had. I'm going to come out just a little bit because I've got more to show than I have room on my screen. I don't want you to see all my mess though. And then we did the Christmas tree. Can you see the Christmas tree? We'll put it up here. And I'm waiting for this to dry. This is almost dried, but I'm going to have a fun time creating that card. And then, oh, look at this one. This is the one that we double embossed on. They did the white first and then the pink. How fun is that? And then, let me see. Oh, we did the mermaid. Can you see the sparkle in the mermaid? Oh, I can see it. Sparkle, sparkle. So I've got a mermaid card. And let me see. We've got the snowflake. Let me pull the snowflake back over. Let me pull it up. It's starting to dry. I'm afraid to touch it. It's starting to dry, but this is the snowflake that we made with the DIY embossing paste. So fun, fun, fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I absolutely enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for day 9. Have fun. Take care. Bye.